In this video, we will do a variation of the Hello World program. But first, I'd like to tell you about my machine. I'm running on my newer laptop. It's running an i5 and it has 4 logical CPUs. I have 8 gigabytes of memory. I'm currently using 2.8 gigabytes. I have not launched Visual Studio yet. Let's look at my system properties. I right click on the Windows icon, click System. Let's move this, and you can see, yes, I have 8 gigs of RAM. I have an i5. This is running Windows 10, and I'm also running on an SSD on this computer. So things are a lot faster than the previous computer I was using, which was a Pentium D. I will leave Task Manager over here, launch Visual Studio. Let's just minimize Task Manager. Here is the Task Manager. See, I'm only using 13% CPU, currently using 36% of the memory. Let's create a new project. Again, choose Visual, C++, Win32 console application, and let's call this Hello World Again. Please refrain from using spaces in the name of your project, and press OK. Press Next. Clear these 2 check marks and check the empty project and click Finish. The way I have this IDE set up is a little different than on my Pentium D. The Solution Explorer is minimized right now. If I click this, I get my Explorer. You can see I have no files in my solution, in my project. So I'll click Source Files, I'll right click it, click Add New Item. Select C++ file, and let's call this Hello World Again. On second thought, let's just call this main, M-A-I-N. We'll add it. Now we can see that main.cpp is in source files. So again, we will add some comments. Hello World Part 2. The first thing I need to do is to include my IO stream. Now, it's not showing what I think because that's the problem right here. Is I forgot to put my pound sign in front of the include. So it can't guess, can't make a logical guess as what I was trying to accomplish. Now IO stream is visible. I will select that. I will type in using name space standard, include my semicolon, int main open curly, end curly. Every program ends with a return 0. And I made a mistake right here. This should be int. So I said this will be a little bit different than the hello world. I'm going to create a variable. And this variable is going to store integers. Let's call this variable counter. And I'm going to set its initial value to 0. Let's say I want to display hello world multiple times. The way I can do that is by a while loop. I will enter the while loop now. While counter is less than or equal to 10, oops, I'm going to do something. So let's think about what this is doing. Counter is starting at 0. We're going to go up to 10. So that means we're going to print something out 10 times, right? Because we're going to start at 0. We're going to increment our counter. We'll be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once we hit 11, we'll stop. So again, let's see out. Hello world. Follow that with an endl. I see no squiggly lines here. So what I'm going to do is I will run this program by hitting Control F5. Of course, it's never been compiled before, so I have to rebuild it. Oh my! It looks what I have done is an infinite loop. Hello world is just repeating over and over again. Let's stop this. Let's look at our code. If we look more closely at our while loop, we can see we print out hello world. But the key value here is counter. We are never incrementing counter. So counter will never hit 10. Counter is always 0. Let's resolve that. Let's set counter to equal to counter plus 1. All we're doing is incrementing the counter. And let's make a little adjustment here in our cout statement. Let's say we want to print out our counter. Count colon, and now we want to print out our counter. So I'm going to put our variable name here, counter. And then I also want to add a comma here and a space, and I will put the exclamation point in. Let's try this again. Okay, I need to rebuild my program. Now this did something weird. It printed out 11 times hello world because I started at 0 and I went all the way through 10. Let's see how we can fix this. We can easily fix this by starting counter at 1. So let's go from 1 to 10. And let's try again. There we go. Count is going from 1 to 10. Furthermore, let's say we want to do some calculation. Let's say a floating point number, that is a double. It's considered a double. Let's just set x and y. Okay? I'm not going to initialize them yet. Y equals 0. I'll initialize y. Let's initialize y to 5. And let's set x equal to y times count. Now I'm introducing a calculation in here. And count doesn't exist. Silly of me, I forgot it was counter. Now let's print out our x value through the loop each time. X. And I want to follow it with an indel. Now I'm going to introduce you into debugging. I'm not going to go very deep in that. I'm just going to go very superficially. This little column right here, you can set a breakpoint. You can consider the program has a counter, and it's going to execute each statement in sequence down here. So it'll execute 1, which is a comment, so it's not going to do anything. When it executes 4, it's going to include this file. When it gets down here to line 10, it'll set counter equal to 1. And it'll reserve that memory location. It reserves the memory location and sets it to be identified by counter and initialize it to 1. I also reserved 2 memory locations to store a floating point number. Then I set y to equal 5. So let's set our first breakpoint here. And now I'm going to press F5 and I'm going to rebuild. Okay, the arrow is signifying that's where the program counter is. Right now it says counter has this huge negative number in it. That's because it is not initialized yet. When we step over this instruction, and you can hit F10, that means I'm going to go one statement. So counter is now 1. My x value is now hugely negative, and so is my y value. When I step over again, my y value is set to 5. And I'm here at the while loop. So if I step again, okay, now let's see what x is going to be. What is y? If we hover over the variables, we can see what the values are. So it's 5, counter is 1, x currently is a huge negative number, but not after we step over. Now x is 5. And we will print out, let's step over again, and if we look at our output, x equals 5, which is what we thought. Now if we continue, press the continue button, we will continue until our next breakpoint is hit. But let me show you what happens in this while loop. If we hit F10 again, we go to the next statement. Now, if we hit F10 again, we will go to the final curly brace there. This curly brace matches the one right here on line 16. So we are in a while loop. So consider this a circular loop. We're going to do this for 10 times because counter equals 1. So if we step over again, we go back to the while statement. We're going to make a determination if the counter is less than or equal to 10. If counter is greater than 10, we will exit the while loop and we will stop at line 22. I'll set a breakpoint right there. As we can see, counter is 2. I'm going to continue. Now, what's counter? Counter is 3. Y is 5. What is X? X is 10. What do we expect X to be this time? Let's see. Did anyone guess 15? And counter is 4. Counter, we could see down here, counter is incrementing every time I hit continue. Counter is 9. So right now counter is 10. So if counter is less than or equal to 10, we're still going to execute. So we will execute this while loop one more time. Now, counter is 11. 11 is not less than 10, so we are going to exit the while loop. When I press the continue button, I hit our last statement of our code, and I continue. Pardon me, let's look at our output. We could see our output here. So we printed out hello world 10 times and X incremented by 5 each time through the loop. Now if we hit continue, our windows close up and we are done with our program. This concludes this video.